My beauty salon, Carol's Beauty, has 3 spots on Main Street in Greenwich, Connecticut. One holiday morning, I had just wrapped up the accounting for the stores. Outside, the maple leaves were gently swaying in the early summer breeze. While I tucked my shoulder-length brown hair behind my ear, I took a look at the last page of the financial statements. "Mom, how does my hair look?" My daughter Emma stood in front of the salon's big mirror, flashing me her sweet smile. Her brown hair, just like mine, fell in soft waves. Even though she had just turned 10, she was already almost as tall as me. Her Greenwich private school uniform was perfectly neat, even though it was the weekend. "It looks lovely, Emma. Did Jessica braid it for you?" I asked. Jessica, our longtime stylist, smiled back. "Emma's been adored by the staff since she was little, and the salon feels like her second home. Balancing work and family life can be tough, but I manage it with the help of my amazing staff. Carol, will you be back this evening?" I heard my husband Michael call from behind me. Behind his black-rimmed glasses, his eyes showed their usual attention to detail. He recently got a promotion at his investment advisory firm and seems busier than ever. His perfectly ironed shirt and neatly tied tie still look as sharp as when we first met 12 years ago. Back then, I was a stylist at a local salon, dreaming about owning my own place someday, even if that dream was a bit vague. Michael was just starting out as a young investment analyst. I fell for his genuine character and clear vision for the future, and after just a year of dating, I decided to marry him. But that also kicked off a complicated relationship with my mother-in-law, Barbara. Barbara Smith, a former high school teacher from a wealthy background, always sports high-end brands. With her short gray hair, she tries to keep up the image of a well-educated, sensible person. But her meddling in our marriage often crosses the line. She's especially critical of my running a beauty salon, making it clear she thinks I should just be a full-time housewife. She loves to lecture me about living up to her son's social status. Still, with Michael's support, I managed to expand to multiple salons. My relationship with Barbara stays friendly on the surface. If we bump into each other at Whole Foods, we'll chat nicely within earshot of others, and she plays nice at activities at First Presbyterian Church. But I can feel the judgment lurking behind her smile. Despite everything, her love for Emma seems real. She buys her fancy gifts for birthdays and Christmas and often wants to spend time with her during holidays. Sometimes her over-the-top affection makes me uncomfortable, but seeing Emma happy makes it hard to complain. We live in an upscale neighborhood of Greenwich. Our white colonial-style house is a product of our hard work, thanks to Michael's promotion and my salon success. We often throw BBQ parties in our spacious yard with the neighbors, and families come over on weekends to let the kids run around and play. We keep busy with PTA meetings and church activities, leading fulfilling lives. Emma's doing great in school and has piano and ballet lessons after classes. Growing up in a loving environment, she's developed a bright and honest personality, earning everyone's trust. "I should be back by 6 p.m., I told Michael while giving his shoulder a light squeeze. Working on holidays isn't weird for me, but today was special. We were gearing up for a home party to celebrate Emma's 10th birthday, inviting neighbors and her close friends for a big bash. Barbara is looking forward to it too. She's called a few times about the present. I nodded at Michael's comment. Recently, I noticed my mother-in-law getting a bit more intense with Emma. I heard she took her shopping at an expensive department store last week, which is unusual for Barbara, who usually talks about keeping things focused on education. "Mom, Grandma's been acting strange lately," Emma mentioned one night. When I tried to dig deeper, she just shrugged it off, saying, "It's nothing," and changed the subject. Maybe she's picking up on something weird about Grandma's gifts. My usually straightforward daughter has been acting a bit evasive lately. Outside the window, the early summer sun was making the maple leaves look golden. I couldn't have guessed how much our chill daily life was about to change. At 3 p.m., just like we planned, our neighbors and Emma's friends started showing up in our yard. Colorful balloons danced in front of our white colonial house under the warm June sun. Michael was getting the barbecue grill ready with his buddy Tom, and the delicious smell of charcoal floated through the air. "Carol, need a hand?" called out Jennifer, our next-door neighbor, as she brought over her homemade potato salad. We had grown close since Emma and her daughter Kate became friends at Greenwich Private School. She often helps me out with PTA stuff too. "Thanks. Could you help me set up the dessert table?" I asked, pointing to the birthday cake I was finishing up in the kitchen. I had arranged pink sugar roses on top of the white frosting, and the number 10 candles were still in their box. The kids were already running around in the yard, their laughter filling the air. Emma was swinging with her best friends, Kate and Sarah, looking cute in her light blue dress. The hairstyle Jessica had done for her that morning bounced with each swing. "Is everyone hungry? The burgers are ready," I called out, and the kids rushed to the barbecue area all at once. Like a typical weekend dad, Michael had swapped his usual sharp suit for a casual polo shirt. Still, his eyes, behind those black-rimmed glasses, had that familiar, serious look. "Oh, sorry, I'm late." Barbara arrived just then. Her gray short hair was perfectly styled, and her Chanel dress gave off the vibe of a classy former teacher. She was carrying a shopping bag from a fancy store. "Grandma!" Emma ran over, and Barbara lit up with a big smile. Her love for Emma seemed real, but I couldn't shake a little worry thinking about her recent behavior. By 5 p.m., the party was in full swing. The garden tables were piled high with food from our neighbors, and the adults were having a great time chatting. The kids were running around, chasing balloons and playing hide and seek. "Time for cake," I called out, and everyone gathered around the main table. The 10 candles were lit, and we sang "Happy Birthday to You" in the garden. Emma's eyes sparkled in the candlelight. "Emma, congrats. Now it's time for presents." After we cut the cake, Barbara was the first to jump up. She pulled out a deep red box from her luxury shopping bag with a little jewelry store logo on it. "Oh my!" Everyone gasped when she opened it. It was a cute pink gold watch with tiny diamonds sparkling on the face. Just by the brand name, it was obviously super expensive. The mood felt a little tense for a second with this gift, which felt way too much for a 10-year-old. "Emma, do you like it?" Barbara asked, sounding really hopeful. But in that moment, I noticed Emma's face change. "I don't want to wear it." Emma's voice was surprisingly firm. It was the first time my usually easygoing daughter had turned down a gift. "Why not?" "Your grandma picked this out just for you," Michael chimed in, sounding a bit annoyed, but Emma just shook her head. "Emma, what's wrong?" I asked, and for a second it looked like she might spill her thoughts. But then she bit her lip and quietly said, "Nothing." Right after that, she got all teary and dashed into the house. A heavy vibe hung in the air for those of us still outside. "She's just a kid. Her mood will change," I said, trying to lighten things up. But something felt off about Barbara's calmness. It was like she saw this coming. Michael, looking puzzled, said, "I'll go talk to her," and headed inside. I stood there, frozen, staring where Emma had just disappeared. Why was my daughter, who usually tells me everything, acting weird today of all days? And what did her cryptic words even mean? The worry in my chest just kept getting bigger. Days passed after the birthday party, and Emma still hadn't touched the watch from Barbara. The gift box just sat there, untouched in the corner of her room. Every morning, while getting ready for school, she'd glance at it, but never go near it. "Emma, why won't you wear such a pretty watch?" I asked one Saturday evening as I sat on her bed. Emma paused her math homework and looked anxious. The soft evening light coming through the window made her brown hair glow. "You'll understand if you wear it," she said, her tone urgent, not at all like her usual cheerful self. She wouldn't say more and just turned back to her homework. On her desk were textbooks from Greenwich Private School, the crest shining proudly. That night, sleep was hard to come by. Michael was peacefully snoring next to me, his face without glasses looking as gentle as it did when we first met 12 years ago. Yet tonight there was something unfamiliar about him. After midnight, the house was totally silent. Soft moonlight streamed in, casting eerie shadows on the curtains. I could faintly hear Emma breathing upstairs. Quietly, I slipped out of bed, careful to avoid creaking the old stairs as I made my way down. In the kitchen, I found the photos from Emma's birthday party scattered on the table where I'd left them while organizing the album. One photo caught my eye: Barbara giving Emma the watch. Emma's worried expression stood out, and behind her, Barbara's smile felt a bit calculating. I grabbed my phone and used the flashlight to sneak into Emma's room, where I found the watch. Seeing my daughter sleeping made my chest tighten. I took the watch out of its deep red box and set it on the kitchen table. In the moonlight and the flashlight's glow, the pink gold surface sparkled mysteriously. It felt heavy and definitely had that luxury vibe, way fancier than any kid's watch from the store. But something still felt off. As I stared at the back cover, I remembered Emma's words. "You'll understand if you wear it." What did she mean? I nervously touched the back cover, and to my shock, it opened easily. For a fancy watch, that wasn't right. It can't be, I thought, bringing the flashlight closer. There it was, a small electronic device embedded inside, separate from the watch's mechanics. My hands started shaking. Was this a listening device? Suddenly, everything clicked. Emma's strange behavior, Barbara's calmness, and the weird questions she'd been asking about my salon. I felt a wave of fear and confusion wash over me. The watch on the kitchen table cast an eerie shadow in the moonlight, and the wind rustled the trees outside, breaking the silence. I barely managed to sleep that night. Even when I got back to bed, Michael felt more distant than ever. I was just waiting for dawn when I decided to call the cops before my family got up. Greenwich Police Department. I found a listening device in the watch my daughter got for her birthday. I tried to stay calm on the phone even though my voice was shaking. I explained the situation as best as I could, giving them the date, how we got the watch, and how I found the device. They took me seriously and sent officers right away. 2 uniformed cops showed up at our house while the morning mist was still hanging around. They treated the watch like evidence, and the questioning started. I held my breath as one officer in white gloves carefully put the watch into an envelope. Emma, who woke up when she heard the commotion, surprisingly seemed calm. In fact, she looked a bit relieved. When she came down the stairs in her light blue pajamas, her face had a peace I hadn't seen in a while. "Emma, did you know about the watch?" I asked, and she just nodded, tears shining in her eyes. She ran to me and hugged me tightly. My heart broke as I felt her little body tremble. But then there was Michael, acting really strange. When he found out what was going on, he got super agitated and immediately tried to call his mom. His usual calm and collected self was gone, replaced by panic. "Wait, this has to be a misunderstanding. Mom would never do something like this. There's no need to call the police." He was frantic and totally uncooperative with the investigation. Sweat was dripping from his forehead, and his hands were shaking. As the sun started to rise, warm light filled the house, but it also revealed some dark shadows we hadn't known about in our family. Photos from Emma's birthday party were still scattered on the kitchen table, and those happy family moments now felt like they belonged to a different world. The police investigation moved surprisingly fast. The listening device in the watch was a high-tech gadget that could clearly record conversations and upload them to the cloud. but that was just the tip of a terrifying iceberg. "Mrs. Smith, can I have a word?" A female detective from the Greenwich Police pulled me aside into a small interview room at the station. The sunlight streaming through the window lit up a stack of documents on the table. My hands were shaking, and it felt like I was in a nightmare. "We've finished interviewing Michael. The situation is way worse than we first thought." The documents she handed me contained facts that would instantly shatter the trust I'd built over 12 years of marriage. Each page revealed shocking truths. Michael had hidden debts over $1 million, failed investments, and a gambling problem. He'd been living a double life, racking up huge losses at fancy casinos and struggling with ever-growing debt. And to top it all off, he was having an affair with a colleague, Jennifer Roberts, who had joined his firm 2 years ago. They were already engaged and had plans for a new life together after he divorced me. The wiretapping seemed to have been in the works for about 6 months. They started making concrete plans last December. The detective's voice felt distant as she explained how Michael and his mom, Barbara, had their eyes set on the profits from my business expansion. This was right when Carol's Beauty was opening its 3rd location, and I was working on a 4th. They wanted to gather dirt on me to use against me in the divorce settlement. Michael even admitted in questioning, "My wife's business became too successful, and I felt threatened. I planned to take control of the salons in the divorce. My mother never liked her and supported my plan. I felt bad for using Emma, but I thought there was no other way. They were especially interested in business secrets and emotional stuff we talked about." Barbara's involvement was just as bad. She not only knew about Michael's debts, but also actively helped him with the plan. She'd always thought I wasn't good enough for her son, saying I wasn't suitable for his social status. Was it her pride as a former teacher that pushed her to do this? What hurt the most was their plan to use Emma. The idea of the watch with the listening device was Barbara's brainchild. They thought they could use Emma's activities, school, friends' houses, to record conversations between us. Barbara knew I'd take Emma to check out new locations for the salon, and she was just waiting for that chance. The cute watch design, all pink gold and little diamonds, was perfect to avoid suspicion. A gift no one would question for a 10-year-old. Thinking about the mean stuff hiding behind everything, I couldn't help but shake. Kids are just so innocent. Emma really stepped up and helped crack this case. I totally agreed with what the detective said. Maybe Emma had just sensed something was off with her grandma's weird affection. Her saying no to that watch was probably just her gut feeling. Things started happening fast. Michael got arrested for putting in that listening device. Right before the cops took him away, he turned to me and yelled, "Carol, please, I did all this for you. Your business was doing too well. I just... Hearing that made me feel sick. The guy in handcuffs didn't look like the husband I once knew. He got fired from his job in an instant, losing everything, his position, his reputation, all gone. Debt collectors came after him like a flood once his loans were out in the open. His mistress ghosted him as soon as he got arrested. Barbara got arrested too for helping him out." As she walked out of the interrogation room, she shot me a nasty look and said, "Someone like you shouldn't have married my son, a simple hairdresser. I was going to make sure Emma got an education that matched our family's status." She still acted all high and mighty, even in handcuffs. Her gray hair was a mess, and her fancy clothes looked so out of place at the police station. Once she got out on bail, her social standing in Greenwich took a nosedive. All the connections she had built over the years disappeared overnight, and people she called friends turned their backs on her. She was no longer welcome in the First Presbyterian Church community. It was ironic. Her twisted obsession with her son ended up draining her retirement savings. That night, Emma and I curled up on the couch. The twilight sky outside was turning a pretty purple. My daughter's small hand held mine tightly, and that warmth was everything to me. "Mom, we'll be okay," Emma said, her eyes shining with determination. "Yeah, things might get tough from now on, but as long as we have this mother-daughter bond," I hugged her close. Warm tears rolled down my cheeks. "Mom, let's bake cookies together again in our new house. Can I invite Kate too?" I couldn't help but smile at Emma's excitement. Sure, this isn't the end, it's just a new beginning. The next day, I met with a lawyer and kicked off the divorce process. Joseph Morgan is one of the best lawyers in Greenwich, so I knew I was in good hands. I'd definitely get custody of Emma. The evidence was solid, and he said we could move forward positively. For the salon, I decided to take this chance to aim for new things. I was still going ahead with plans for the 4th location as planned. Sure, this whole mess might shake our reputation a bit, but the trust we've built won't just crumble. If anything, my staff seems even more supportive now. That weekend, Emma and I checked out a new property. It's a cozy single-family home in a nice, quiet neighborhood. There's a young maple tree in the yard that'll look gorgeous in spring. It's small now, but I have no doubt it'll grow tall, just like Emma. "I love it here. I can see the garden from my room," Emma said, running around the yard with so much joy. I promised myself I'd find happiness with this kid, no matter what challenges came our way. The summer sun made the maple leaves sparkle like the glow of our fresh start. 3 months flew by. One October morning, as the maple leaves were starting to turn red, Emma and I had finally settled into our new home. A week after moving in, we had managed to unpack everything, and our new place was beginning to feel like home. "Mom, look, I can see the maple tree in the garden perfectly from my room." Emma peeked out from the 2nd-floor window, waving happily. Her smile was coming back brighter every day. The weekly counseling sessions have turned out to be way more helpful than I thought they'd be. Dr. Brown mentioned that Emma has been really positive about handling her feelings. She even said, "I'm so glad I found the guts to talk to Mom. I really believed Mom would have my back." During one of our sessions, I could feel tears coming on. The divorce process went pretty smoothly, and I got custody of Emma. We also divided up the property, and I ended up with a good deal after uncovering some serious illegal wiretapping. Michael's compensation payment got wrapped up too. Emma's doing great at Greenwich Private School. Honestly, she seems even happier with her friends, like a weight has been lifted off her shoulders. Emma seems really vibrant lately. I was so glad when Kate's mom, Jennifer, mentioned that. I've also been getting more involved in PTA stuff than ever before. I'm really enjoying these relationships without any secrets or hidden motives. As for the salon, we managed to open our 4th location, just like we planned. Everyone on the team came together to support us, and if anything, this whole situation has made our team stronger. A local business magazine even featured me as a female entrepreneur who faced challenges head-on. The other day, I got a thick letter of apology from Barbara, but I just sent it back unopened. I'm sticking to my guns about no contact with Michael due to court orders, and he can't reach Emma either. Emma and I planted some herbs in our new garden: thyme, rosemary, and basil. By next spring, we'll have a little herb garden going. While we were working the soil, I thought about how life can take some pretty unexpected turns, but what really matters has always been clear to me. As a mom, an entrepreneur, and just as a woman, I feel confident that I've made the right choices. "Mom, can Kate come over to play tomorrow?" Emma asked with her dirt-covered hands and a big smile after helping with the gardening. "Of course. How about we bake some cookies while we wait for her?" Then, out of nowhere, Emma hugged me tightly and said, "Mom, thank you. I'm really, really happy right now." I gently stroked her head and nodded. Our journey hasn't been easy, but with this strong mother-daughter bond, I believe we can handle anything that comes our way. The maple tree in the garden was glowing in the autumn sunlight, almost like it was blessing our fresh start. I just knew that tomorrow would be an even better day, and my heart felt warm with that thought.